चल सबको रिझाता चल, सबसे निभाता चल सबको रिझाता चल, मिल जाएंगे राम। राम नाम का अलख जगाता चल, मिल जाएंगे राम। राम धुन गाता चल, राम धुन गाता चल, राम धुन गाता चल, राम धुन गाता चल।
राम सिया राम, जय जय राम सिया राम।
जो जीवन का सार समझ ले जीवन उसका है, जर्रा निकाले जो माटी सब कंचन उसका है।
सहनं भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। When we study the person of realization, oh, sorry, the question, Ravi Chabra.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you in between. My question is that we keep saying that in order to get out of this world, we have to live in this world. So this is a kind of an oxymoron. This is kind of, I mean, to me, it looks like if you have to get out of this world, why do you have to live in also for that matter? No? So could you please throw some light on that? Thank you.
So the reason it is sounding like an oxymoron is because of the chronology of your statements, right? It is not because we have to get out of the world, we live in the world. It is we live in the world and therefore we have to get out of it. If we don't live in the world, the question of getting out of it never arises, right? It's only because we are in the world, therefore we have to get out of it. Now, to get out of it, you're not going to do that instantly. Okay, I want to get out of the world, I'm out. Can't happen like that. So therefore, you have no option but to continue living in the world. Since you're living in the world, you are obviously accepting things from the world, right? You're living. That means, this body, mind, intellect to survive over here requires millions of things, which are all being provided to us. And therefore, we live in this world with an attitude of service. We do it properly. We live in the right manner. We live the right life. Now, it so happens that this right life is such that gives us not only worldly success and worldly contribution and worldly achievement and all of this, it is the same path that takes us out of the world. There's no two different paths. There's one path. The right life gets us everything in the world and takes us beyond the world.
So in other words, having taken birth in this life, you have to bear the fruits of your past life, your karma, whether good or bad. You have to live those, and maybe make an attempt to make sure that you accumulate good karmas.
Yes, you don't want to accumulate anything, you only want to get rid of it. So you have no doubt something from the past. You also are creating at the moment. So whatever is from the past, if you deal with it properly, you will get out of the world. But this moment you're doing, right? It's not like you just have the burden of the past. The present also actions are continuing, receipts are continuing, all everything is continuing. You're in Beti Ganga. It's not just what has come from the past. Of course, things have come from the past and they are continuing. So you have to attain to all of that. And the right way to do it is the way that takes you out.
Thank you.
So when we are discussing a person of realization, there are two ways in which we can look at him. One way we can look at him is his own internal state. That's one way. And the other way we can look at it is, what is he showing us? So they're two separate things. Now, when it comes to internal state, whether it's a Rama or a Krishna or a Buddha or a Muhammad or a Christ, internal state, if they are people of realization, if you accept that they are people of realization, then internal state is the same. But external state of each is different, right? We'll take Buddha that treads the path of peace, or you take Christ who treads the path of peace. They say be peaceful. And then you have a Krishna, Muhammad, go fight everybody, right? So everybody seems to advise and do different things. There is Swami Ramatirtha, who went around the world teaching this philosophy. He was everywhere. He went from Japan to US. He covered the whole place. There is that. There is Sri Ramakrishna, who sat in his Dakshineshwar, and whoever wanted to come and seek his guidance came, and he explained the knowledge to them. And there is Sri Ramana Maharishi, who never went anywhere, and also if you went to him also, he'll not speak anything. He just sit and quietly. Right? So you see this external variation is a lot. So there are two aspects of the man of realization or the person of realization. One is their internal state. We've already discussed their internal state, and it is the same across the board. However, their externals are different. So we are going to understand that aspect of the person of realization now. So who will read the next? Who is iPad, please? You just joined iPad. So who is that?
Good, Janki.
Who?
Milind.
Milind. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is extrinsic conduct.
Hmm.
Self-realized souls have demonstrated a wide range of extrinsic conduct. Their post-realization lives have been distinct and different, yet they all remain intrinsically as oneself, like the brilliant spectrum of colors emerging from colorless light. Each color exhibits a beauty of its own, so does every enlightened one display distinct magnificence, beautiful and graceful. Their actions, however, differ widely, though they all spring from the depth of spiritual enlightenment from one divine self. Thus, you find a marked difference in the external manifestation of divine souls from time immemorial. Even the recent sages like Swami Ramatirtha, Saint Tyagaraja, or Ramanna Maharshi were poles apart in their manifestations. Ramanna Maharshi observed silence practically all his lifetime. He hardly moved out of his small town of Tiruvannamalai in the south of India. While Saint Tyagaraja gave out the divine Carnatic music, he sang all through his life. Distinct from these two, Swami Ramatirtha was dynamic. He enthralled the world with his electrifying discourses on Vedanta. So here he's trying to tell us that manifestations of enlightened souls are different, completely different from from each other, but all they remain intrinsically as oneself. All actions spring from the depth of spiritual enlightenment from one divine self. Examples are given like Ramana Maharishi observed silence in his lifetime, and Swami Ramtirtha was a Vedantic speaker.
If you're giving the example, then you have to say Tyagaraja also, who sang and sang and sang. So very good, Milan. So basically, every one of them, their internal state is the same, their external manifestations differ. Their natures are different. Right? Now, suppose Mahesh realizes. Then how Mahesh will behave as a realized soul is different from how Jayashree will behave as a realized soul. Because inherently their personalities are different. So they will behave differently. Each one will behave according to, the body, mind, intellect will manifest according to its nature. But their recognition of the self, their becoming one with the self, is entirely different. If Deepa realizes the self, how will she communicate the self? No?
God knows.
God knows, no. Okay.
Through art.
Through art. She's a painter. Deepa is a painter. And so how will she communicate? Through painting.
I wish I could do that, Janki ji.
Well, you will. Don't worry. Communicate. Whatever you paint, people will think of the self. As a realized soul, of course. When you realize everything you do will be about the self. That is why you see in this country this vast body of art and literature and culture and science and all this. Because people who are on their journey to realization or people who were realized souls, they manifested their personality. Now, if Deepraj realizes the self, how will he express the self?
All mathematical equation. Nobody will understand anything.
Yes, that's a possibility. But he will express it in mathematical equations. I don't know how he will do that, but he will do something. He will come up with some equation that will shake up the world. So each one will do their own whatever it is they are, they will be that person. If Asha realizes the self, what will happen? She will continue to stay quiet and never be heard, no matter what happens. So each person will do what they are doing. If Surendra realizes the self, then what will he do? He will do accounts because he's doing accounts now. He's a CA now. So I don't know what CAs do. I suppose they do accounts. So he'll be doing accounts. Then his accounts will express the divinity of the self. And that is also how the university hopes that people will find their careers. They will become outstanding in their career because as they progress, whatever inherent natures they have will just express themselves in their full manifestation because there's nothing stopping it anymore. Now we're not able to express our full natures. Our potentials don't come out because it's all suppressed with all the garbage we are collecting. Once you've thrown all this garbage out, then whatever is the inherent nature will blossom and flower. Of course, now we will know this only 20 years later. You're not going to see anything right now. But when the students grow and progress in their fields, and all of you have, in your way, also experienced this, how you have gotten better at whatever it is you're doing. If Kalyan handles human resource, then he'll be handling human resource better. He's an HR guy. I don't want to embarrass you all by asking you all whether you are handling things better, but I do believe that with your studies of Vedanta, whatever field you are involved in, you will be a benefit to that field. Milind, what work do you do? I mean, I know you are in the Middle East, but what is the occupation? You are muted, so I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm an instrument engineer.
Instrument engineer. So you're into instrumentation.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, if Milind realizes the self, we'll get some beautiful new instruments. I don't know what will happen. What do you do, Aparna?
A scientist.
Oh, you're a scientist. Oh, which field?
In life sciences.
Life science.
Yeah.
Biology, like.
Biology, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Who knows? Maybe Aparna will be the new Darwin and come up with something, nobody had ever heard of before. Who knows? But as we clean our personality of its desires and selfishness and general junk which we have created, the divinity sparks out of us in whatever we are doing. Even if it is a peon who does it, he will be a peon better. He will be a divine peon. If it's the managing director who does it, then he'll be a divine managing director. So what we tend to do is we tend to separate the sages from us. We tend to think those are the sages and this is us. That's not really true. Because if you look at the glorious Indian past, you will find that in every field, whether it was medicine or it was medicine or astronomy, even erotic, all of this was written by
Self-realized sages.
By the rishis, by the sages. The entire culture was built on the thought and the work of these noble souls. In every field, it was Rishi Charvak, right? It was Rishi, who did Ayurveda? As I grow old, you people will have to keep reminding me many things. Patanjali. Either you take the grammarian Patanjali, Ayurveda Patanjali. Okay. Dhanvantri. Dhanvantri was supposed to be the god. I don't know whether he is the sage also. So whatever, or every one of us knows the various names. We grew up with them and we forget it, but right? Even Shushruth. You see pictures of Shushruth. How is he dressed? He's dressed in the garb of a rishi. Everybody like that, whether they are mathematicians or anything. So you will find that each one of them have different expressions. And the reason the different expressions exist is because the body, mind, and intellect of each is different. Right? The self within is the same. So their internal self-realization aspect is the same for everybody. But their external manifestation is different because that manifestation is what the body, mind, intellect are now doing. They were already doing it before and are simply continuing to do it in a better way. Okay, anyway, we don't need to figure it all out now. This whole bit is about that. I'm going ahead, right? So let's read the next paragraph.
So, Janki, 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
So this expressions because of he merged with self, right?
Not expressions.
Manifestation.
Yeah, manifestation, expression, same thing. So the manifestation is what the body, mind, intellect is doing.
No,
What?
suppose
Hmm?
suppose some politician is there. He's also giving lectures,
Hmm.
and who is this? Swami Ram Tirtha also giving lectures.
Hmm.
Self is in both. Self is there. So what is the difference?
Swami Ramakrishna knows he's the self. The politician thinks he's the body.
He's not aware. That means.
But if a politician were to be such that he is either knows he's the self or he's progressing towards it, then he would become Chanakya. See, Chanakya was a very, what should I say, crooked person, right? He was a politician. Now, in politics, you cannot go very simply. Suppose Mahesh enters politics, then he will say exactly to everybody what is in his mind. Then all the papers will report, oh, Mr. Ursekar said this, Mr. Ursekar said that. He will get into endless trouble. So we will recommend to our young Mahesh that he please do not enter politics. He will tell everything as he sees it, and he will argue with reporters. You can't afford to do any of this. In politics, if you are in politics, you have to be extremely careful what you say. Because the moment you come into public eye, you are saying what you are saying, but people are hearing what they are hearing. And when they hear what they are hearing, it will be a field day for them. Suppose a politician says, rightly so, you guys don't keep asking me what I'll do for you. You tell me what you are going to do for the country. Okay? And I would agree with him if he said so. But the headlines next day will say, this politician says that he will do nothing, we have to do everything. You see, that's how they will convert it. You can't speak anything like that. So you have to be crooked. Crooked means you have to be diplomatic, you have to be tactful, you have to be sensible in what you say. Right? So they all are. So therefore, they're all hypocritical. But the reason they're hypocritical is because they are being careful what they say only to retain that seat. Now, Chanakya can do 10 times better than this in being crooked or diplomatic or tactful or sensible or whatever word you wish to use. But he is not going to become a hypocrite because he has no interest in the chair. He has only interest in the Rashtra. Right? So if you have to be a politician, you will have to do this nakrabaji. Now, the question in the nakrabaji is not whether you have to do it, you have to do it. The question is, why are you doing it? So as you go closer and closer to the self, let us hope that some student, Vedanta student, somebody from the university becomes a politician. Let's hope that happens. And he knows how to play this politics game. We will have done our country a great service. We will have a Chanakya in place. He may not even become PM. He may, because Chanakya had no wish to become the ruler. He had no wish to be PM also at that time. I don't know if you know the story. He did all he could to make Chandragupta Maurya the king, made him the king, and the opposite king who was supposed to be defeated, both Chandragupta Maurya as well as the opposite king were kings. Okay, they were living kingly lives. Now, these two ministers were the actual ones doing the hera-feri. And when Chanakya wins this, he gets the other minister. He tells his warriors, his soldiers to get the minister. And when he gets the minister to his court, obviously the minister thinks, now I'm dead because he's been fighting him throughout. He's been doing, both of them have been playing a game of chess with each other. And Chanakya has now won. And he calls the other chap and tells him that so that guy said, they're expecting fully well to be beheaded or whatever it is, whatever punishment they're going to give him for fighting that. You know what Chanakya does? He makes him the Amar. He makes him the minister, the prime minister of Chandragupta Maurya, and leaves. He has no wish. He says, I have found in you a person capable of running the Mauryan Empire, so you will run it, and I am off. He's done his job and he's out of there. Not because he doesn't want the work, it's not voluntary retirement. It's because he knows here is a person capable and he can do it. So that's fine. So a politician giving a speech can be exactly the same as a Ramatirtha giving a speech. It all depends on what's going on with him. But unfortunately, we don't have politicians of that kind of stature. I mean, I don't know if we have or we haven't, but our general stature in society is not very high currently. Okay? So, the important thing for us to realize, which he's going to talk of in the next paragraph, is how we look at the external life and decide his internal condition. That can't be done. Let's go ahead. Who will read the next paragraph?
Can I, Janki ji?
Please.
You ought not to judge sages and saints from what you see them act. Their expressions in the world may confuse you. You would gather wrong impressions. Perfection in a human is assessed not from his external action, but from an internal attunement with the Supreme Self. The test of perfection is his merger with the inner self, not his expression. Whatever be the mode of living, the self-realized leads humanity through the path of righteousness to the goal of enlightenment. Some sages have lived in seclusion, observing austerity, while others lived in company amidst material comfort. However, both were totally detached, disinterested in their mode of living. Reveling in the bliss of realization, their lives only promoted universal welfare, redeemed humanity. So this, in summary, says that we shouldn't be judging sages and saints or self-realized souls based on their external conduct. They can have a varied way. Some may believe in material comforts and some may not, and they might live in seclusion. But however, the fact remains that their final goal is to promote universal welfare and redeemed humanity.
Very good. Except it's not believe in, it is live that way.
Okay.
So neither of them are going to believe in either. That's in fact what he's saying. They both are totally detached, disinterested in their mode of living. So the person who's living in seclusion is not attached to seclusion, and the person who's living in material well-being is not attached to that material well-being. But otherwise, very good. So do not judge sages and saints from how you see them act. It's a very, very important thing. You say, oh, I've heard this quite often actually. Oh, Rajni, he had a robe made of diamonds. How can he be a sage? I don't know whether he's a sage or not, but I don't see what a robe of diamonds has to do with him being a sage. He may wear a robe of diamonds or he may not wear a robe of diamonds. It's got nothing to do with sagehood. Sagehood has to do with your identification or closeness to the self. Right? Abdul Kalam lived in Rashtrapati Bhavan. You can't say, oh my God, see what a materialistic person, Rashtrapati, such a big car, he needs such big, what, how many, 8 horses, 6 horses? Carriage he needs. Why does he need this? He should not have it. He's so good, he should tell them, I don't want to go in this Rolls Royce, I want to go in Maruti 800. Obviously not, right? if he is the Rashtrapati, if he is our president, he is representing India. If India sends its president in a Maruti 800, the rest of the world will think we are so pathetic. राष्ट्रपति के लिए गाड़ी नहीं रख सकते. So you can't do all these things. In certain positions, you have to live in a particular way because you're representative. Your chair is representing something. And the dignity of that chair has to be maintained. The problem is after you leave Rashtrapati Bhavan, if you still want that, then there's a problem. Because then now you want that. So we have to know the difference. That's why this is a very important difference which very few people don't seem to get. They seem to say things like, tell me, am I not right? Somebody has a fight with somebody or somebody wants something. Am I not right? This is not correct. The point is not whether it is correct or not. The point is your excessive interest in that. You are doing it because you want to. Now it just so happens it is correct. It has to be just the other way around. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do, and it so happens that you like it. We are like, we decide what we like, and we are doing that. And whenever it happens to be the right thing, also we will jhanda maro. As if the rest of the world cannot see that the reason you're doing it is because you are longing for it, not because it's the right thing to be done. So that kind of deep-rooted honesty with ourselves is one of the hallmarks of spirituality. But at least be honest. कुछ नहीं तो honesty तो रखिए. कुछ नहीं हमसे हो रहा है. चलो भाई honest तो होते हैं. At least let me say frankly कि this is the way it is. Because my personality is like that now. But we're so judgmental of ourselves, we're so judgmental of other people that honesty तो दूर की बात हो जाती है. बहुत दूर की बात. So, when you begin to understand, which we have been studying all throughout, remember? Rajas, Tamas, Sattva is a categorization of thoughts, right? And yet people look at people doing things and call it Tamas or Rajas or Sattva. Similarly over here. So, the principles are all pervading. Here too. Self-realization or sagehood is a matter of what? You're muted, I can't hear you. Closeness to the self, correct, very good. Everything is your spiritual growth is known by your closeness to the self, not by actions which you do or do not do. And yet we will look at a sage, we will say, oh look, uske paas to 3 gaadi hai. How can he be a sage? Is there some rule that a sage cannot have 3 cars? He can have 25 cars. How does it matter? Raja Janak was a Raja. So if he doesn't have 3 cars, there's something wrong as a king. That he's a very inefficient king if he doesn't have 3 cars. Can you imagine that as a businessman? Now the businessman needs all sorts of things, right? He may need take Mukesh Ambani. So he has businesses of, I don't know how he runs such a massive thing. यहाँ यूनिवर्सिटी करते करते ही हम लोग पागल हो रहे हैं. He runs what? I don't even know how many 1,000 crores. We are like 108 crores. And we are like struggling. And he's running a business of, I don't know how much, 80,000 crores. So now to run this 80,000 crore wala business, he will need a plane. His associates will also need planes. Therefore, he will possess many planes because they are all going from part of this part of the world to that part. He can't be wasting time train se jaane mein. Then he's not run his business empire. So therefore, it becomes all need-based for him. But if Jayashree says, I'd like to have 2 planes, then we will say, Jayashree, please cool it. Koi aisi zarurat nahi hai. But for him, it is need-based. Right? And if he doesn't have it, he cannot run that empire. And we will ourselves think कि इसमें कुछ खोट है, because he is saying कि इतना बड़ा है, so without all these things, how will he manage to run it? Can't be done. We know that. So things are all based on circumstances, situations, environment, needs, not personal needs, but of whatever you're handling. So you can't look at it and say, oh, Mukesh Ambani is a very materialistic person. See how many planes he has? You can't say that. It may be so that I, who have no planes at all, may be more materialistic than Mukesh Ambani, who has a fleet of planes. What will determine who is materialistic and who is not? What is that which will determine it?
How much value you are giving?
Very good, Madan. Excellent. Remember, we studied that. Can anyone tell me which chapter we studied it? Thank God, Millet remembers.
Renunciation.
Very good. Very good. Thank God. Thank God. Finally, some of the past is catching up with us. Nahi to raat gayi, baat gayi, it used to be. Now at least we remember. Last chapter we studied what determines whether a person is materialistic or not is the value he gives that, not his possession or dispossession. Remember? So similarly, in the case of a person of realization, it is not what he has, but his understanding of the importance of that determines his internal state. Right? So what's our point? With this long story, what's the point? You ought not to judge sages and saints from what you see them act. Now let's see. I seem to have stuff here. Deep Raj. But a sage cannot behave in a petty manner. No. There is still quite some things that the sage won't do. He can't have hateful behavior either. A sage cannot behave in a petty manner. Now, who is to determine that that manner was petty? And how do you determine whether a manner was petty or not? I'll tell you a story. There is okay, now I'm really going over because I'm forgetting everybody's name. Who is the gentleman who started the university, the Benares Hindu University?
Madan Mohan Bhagia.
Madan Mohan Malviya. Thank you. Okay, so Malviya ji went one day to the house of a very rich sage. Birla or I don't even know. You all can look this up, okay? I'm sure this story will be floating around on the net somewhere. So he went to his house. And when he was entering the house, one servant was putting oil in the diya. You remember at that time there was no electricity, right? So he was putting oil in the diya. While he was pouring the oil in the diya, some oil fell to the ground, like 2-3 drops. So Mr. Birla, or whoever the rich guy was, he said, "What are you doing? How can you waste this money? What's wrong with you? You think money was 100? No. He really fired his stuff." So Malviya ji is watching this scene. Okay, ये तो बहुत कंजूस लोग लग रहे हैं. So he went in. He had come anywhere, so that gentleman said, "Please come in, Malviya ji, आइए बैठिए." He invited him for dinner. He said, "Please spend the night here." And those times when people came over, we didn't go over for an hour as we do nowadays, but it was a longer duration because obviously it took them a longer time to reach there. So he rested and he said, "Kya बोलिए माल्या जी, मैं क्या आपकी मदद कर सकता हूँ?" So Malviya ji didn't say anything. He just sort of And then he stayed there with him for 3 days. On the third, he couldn't say anything because he had just heard this guy being fired for 2 drops of oil. So he was too frightened to say anything. Then 3 days later, that man said, आए क्यों है प्लीज जो भी सेवा मैं कर सकता हूँ प्लीज मुझे बता दीजिए मैं करूंगा. So with great fear he told him कि हमको 5,000 रुपए चाहिए और ये बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी बनाने के लिए. So that man told him, मुनीम जी इनको जितना पैसा चाहिए दे दीजिए. So Malvinaji was like, what happened here? He didn't know because he was so frightened. For 3 days he couldn't open his mouth one day. One day when he said it, he said, no, he just called his Munimji and he said, Acha, dijiye jo bang rahe. What happened? So that man is asking him, but यही काम है कुछ और था? नहीं जी इतना ही था. तो फिर आपने पहले ही दिन क्यों नहीं मुझे बोला? क्योंकि I don't want to waste your time. I mean, I'm delighted to have you, but I don't want to waste your time. पहले दिन बोलते तो मैं पहले दिन ये organize करता. So with great fear he told him, मैं जब आया तो आप नौकर को वो 2 drops of oil के लिए चिल्ला रहे थे तो मेरा जी घबराया मैं कुछ बोल नहीं पाया. तो he said, मालविया जी मैं उससे ये वेस्ट और नेग्लिजेंस प्रिवेंट करता हूँ इसीलिए मैं आपको ये 5,000 rupees दे सकता हूँ. Now you tell me, was this gentleman petty or not petty? So who's to determine that?
Not petty.
Sorry, I can't hear. Is someone saying something?
No, I said not petty.
Yes. So the thing is, it is if our story was only this, we knew this only this much, that here is this gentleman shouting at a staff because 1 drop of oil has fallen. Right? We knew only this much. We would say petty. Now we know the whole story. Oh, not so petty after all. So when you say sage can't be petty, they're looking at his actions. They have no idea उसके आगे पीछे क्या हो रहा है. Right? Then there's some things there's still some things that a sage won't do. He can't have hateful behavior either. Now, what counts as hateful behavior? Would you say killing counts as hateful behavior? If I kill somebody, am I being hateful? Rama killed Ravana, no hate. Krishna killed Duryodhana, no hate. So what behavior counts as hateful? I may have no external manifestation, but dislike somebody in my heart. So all this that's the very point he's trying to make. Do not look at the actions.
No, I mean, there's something like domestic violence. One might look at it and how else would one interpret it?
I would prefer if this was held offline because if there are trolls, they'll get on my case. But the fact is that there is something, there are conditions under which a person needs to be hit. There are conditions under which this happens. That is not a blanket thing for everybody to start hitting everybody. Right? So there is no condition which you can say for certain will not. I mean, I don't know if, because I listen to all the stories from all around, I don't know if my view of life is particularly biased. I have heard about wives who have been beaten by their husbands. Not heard, I have seen. Seen them black and blue. Right? And not as many, but I have seen this. Equally known about women who beat their husbands. Right? And in fact, in those cases, it gets even worse because if your husband hits you, society is sympathetic towards the lady. If a wife beats her husband, society is not sympathetic towards that man. He's too embarrassed to ever say it. And yet he's suffering because he does not raise his arms enough to prevent this from happening, because he doesn't hit a woman. Right? Under these conditions, I'm not suggesting both hit each other. But you have to do enough to not let people hit you, right? Whether you're a woman or a man, right? Sometimes society is very biased towards men. Currently, it's all becoming biased towards women. I don't know when we will become balanced human beings and look at things as crime, not crime, unethical, ethical, rather than man and woman. This division of man and woman is a very stupid division. So either you're being wrong or you're right. So it's got nothing to do with whether you're a man or woman. So there are conditions under which you will have to raise your arm. So now when you say domestic violence, that assumes the intention of bullying. Right? So we are, this assumption that the term itself has the assumption of intention.
But after repeated interaction, because I mean, we can kind of judge a person by the actions they do, right? It's we say actions speak louder than words and all that. So after like enough data points, we can kind of conclude, no, this is bullying. This is not like reprimanding. This is bullying. And from that, we can kind of assume that this is not a sage. This cannot possibly be a sage. Yeah.
Yes, but remember, all that assessment is done based on an intention, your assessment of intention, not of action.
Yeah, but the intention is drawn from the action.
Yeah, that's your assumption from the action. So
yes.
If you have enough data or whatever, normally with a sage, you don't have that kind of data because you don't live with that sage. You are just looking at Rajneesh, you know nothing. You know he's bought one robe that is studded with diamonds. That's all you know. And based on that, you're saying he's not a sage. I'm not claiming that he is a sage. I have no knowledge of whether he's a sage or not. I'm saying that data point does not tell us it. Right? So obviously, he will never do anything that is harmful to you. The question is, who is to determine that it is harmful? There are many people who have walked out on their gurus when their gurus have given them good advice. There are many people who walked out on their doctors when their doctors have given them good advice. There are many people who walk out on their counselors when the counselors give good advice. So you can't really, it's not that you can't at all. It's like you have to be cautious when you're doing it. It's not the action, it's the intention. That's the point he's trying to get at. Right. Now, who will read the next paragraph?
I can read. The
Thank you.
enlightened one lives in his home with his family, amidst his environment with perfect objectivity. Established in the divinity within, he remains absolutely detached. He takes the position of God. He is in the world, yet out of it, like a lotus leaf unattached to the water all around. He looks at every being and everything happening in the world from an impersonal angle, as you would watch a movie on the screen. When you look upon the world as a detached witness, the world becomes a source of enjoyment. But when you get involved, entangled in the affairs of the world, the same world becomes a source of misery. The enlightened is ever positioned as a Sakshi witness, never attached to anything, never enmeshed in the world. He stands out as a picture of renunciation, reveling in absolute bliss. So this talks about the objectivity of the self-realized person. He's in the world, but he's completely detached from the world.
Very good. Now, your summary was great. Now, can anyone tell me in this paragraph, what is the line that should be most relevant to us? Important for us to be clear about this in this paragraph. Bipraj has summarized it that he lives in the world with complete objective. Very good. Correct. Now, what is the line we have to take maximum note of? Well, yes, that is the point of this paragraph. Correct, Prashant. It's objectivity. But I'm asking you, what is the line or phrase in this paragraph that you must take note of? That is very important.
Can I share? He is in the world, yet out of it. For me, I think that.
Okay. So that is what Deepraj said. He's got perfect objective. Yeah, you all are summarizing the paragraph. I'm not asking for summary. Deepraj has done that.
But when you get involved, entangled in the affairs of the world, the same world becomes a source of misery. Is that the...
No, I think that, I mean, it's an important line of thought, but I think most of you know it and are well aware of that. What is an important line for us to take cognizance of in this?
Line number 3.
Okay, what is it? Read it.
Established in the divinity within, he remains absolutely detached.
Very good. Now, can you focus a little more and tell me which part of this sentence is most important? Very good, Mohan.
Remains absolutely detached.
Oh God, you got 80% marks and then you left it. No, it is the previous part. Okay, so
In divinity within.
yeah, underline that. You know why that is to be underlined? When you read this paragraph, now we're going to end class in the next 9 minutes. You're going to go into your houses and live with absolute detachment towards everybody. You're going to say, oh, I'm very detached from what you people are saying and how you people are behaving. And then your spouses are going to come behind you with a danda because you all are acting funny with them. We're all trying to be detached. That is not what we try. What we should be trying is
To get into the divinity.
Within.
establishing divinity. Very good. Remember the cause and effect relationship. Cause is established in divinity. Effect is objectivity. You can't go and plug objectivity. It's not a fruit you pluck from a tree. Oh, I will be objective from today onwards. Ain't happening, buddy. That's not how it works. To the extent we are established in the higher, to that extent we will be detached from the lower. We are all very happy with this concept of detachment. You people behave whatever way you like, it doesn't affect me. We feel very good with that. That is all nonsense. 9 out of 10 students take this view. I'm very detached towards everything. Detachment is an effect, and its cause is
Divinity.
Establishing divinity.
establishing in divinity, establishment in the higher. Detachment, objectivity, renunciation, they are all effects. So very important for us. So we read this. The enlightened one lives in his home with his family, among his environment with perfect objectivity. So we are very inspired. We are setting out to live with perfect objectivity. ऐसे नहीं होता. Established in the divinity, that's the cause. He remains absolutely detached. That's the effect. That's very important to take note. Otherwise, we're all practicing to be objective. It won't happen. Then everything is what happens. And then the rest of it, by the way, is only a sales program, the marketing program to make you get established in the divinity. Because we are getting affected by the world. We are getting agitated by what people are saying and doing. We are getting involved in it. So then see, if you are established in the higher, these things will not happen. So we are, oh, very good, very good. These things will not happen. Chalo, we will be objective. No, no, no. Should be chalo, we will be established in the higher. That is how it should be. I hope that point is clear. Right? All clear? Anyone has an issue on that, please take note of this thing, because it's an important aspect. So that we're not on the wrong track of trying to practice some kind of objectivity or practice some kind of detachment. Many people tell me, oh, I'm so detached. Then my wife is not happy when I'm detached. My dear, if you are really detached, your wife will be happy with you. If you're really objective, your husband will be happy with you. Your children will be happy with you. Your parents will be happy with you. You will know you're being objective when other people are happy with you. Because when you're objective, you're dealing with them, not yourself. Otherwise, all of us are living in our heads all the time. Whole safar is going on in the head. It is, don't you see this all the time? When people do it to us, we see it so easily. Suppose I say something simple. Why wasn't this? You said the job will be done on Friday. Why isn't it done? How can you question my dedication to Vedanta? I am so dedicated to Vedanta. I'll do everything for Vedanta. I'll give my life for Vedanta. What are you people talking? The question is, Friday you were to do the job. This Friday you haven't done the job. And what happened? Where is this whole story about your dedication to Vedanta? Jayashree has to deal with it. There is one man she is dealing with. Every time she asks him, why you said on such and such a day you'll do such and such, he gives her a lecture on his great dedication to the cause. And then now all her hair are also going to go grey very soon. Just pulling out her hair. But forget your dedication to the cause. Say, काम क्यों नहीं हुआ? Oh, I will do you the best ever. And I will do everything. You will do, कब करोगे? So, when you say anything, you are saying job was to be done on Friday. Why is it not done? What is that person hearing? That person is hearing that you are accusing me of not caring for Vedanta. But I care for Vedanta, so you're wrong. So there's always a disconnect between what we are saying and what other people are hearing, right? Similarly, there is a disconnect between what they are saying and what we are hearing. When we become objective, we hear them. It's that simple. You're hearing what that person is saying, you're not hearing what's going on here. That is why, in Vedanta at least, have you not heard that the best students are those who have learned to know Vedanta before they came to class? Because those who have learned and come, first we have to wipe out everything. Then you have to put fresh knowledge. The best is if you came with a blank slate. I mean, nobody comes with a blank slate, but at least Vedantic blank slate. So, objectivity means you are dealing with the other person. What is that person saying? What is that person meaning? 9 out of 10 times we are defending ourselves, not understanding the other person. So when we become objective in life, people just become happier with us. They find it easy to deal with. They don't find it complicated to deal with. It seems quite simple. It's like when you write a book well, if you put all your effort in writing it well, the reader thinks it's very simple. But if you haven't put in the time and effort and energy to write it well, then the reader finds it complicated. So in life, as we become more and more objective, we become a source of joy towards everybody, for everybody, and the world also becomes a source of joy too. Because you understood the person, you know what you have to say to make that relationship not only harmonious, but to achieve whatever it is you wish to achieve. That is what is objective. This happens when you are established in the higher, which means what you're clear about what you're trying to do. Your attitude is one of reaching a positive and productive end. When you have no positive and productive end, then all this gossip starts. No, but he did that. Oh, you didn't. How can you talk to me like that? I forget how you can talk to me like that. What do we now need to do to reach whatever purpose we have set for ourselves? So, objectivity is the result of
Established in the divinity.
very established in divinity, established in the higher, having clear purpose, having clear goal. There has to be some higher vision. And then we become objective. And so that's it for today.